All right, everybody. Welcome into Super Metroid Strat Chat for tonight, April the 12th. This is officially episode 10, so pretty cool that we've made it to double-digit episodes. And my name is Kipp, and my co-host is True Moss. True Moss, are you there?
Hey, Kipp.
How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. So, tell me a little bit about what's been up, in your neck of the woods in terms of Super Metroid. What's been going on lately?
I've been on the Hundo bandwagon again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I switched routes, and so now I'm doing late grapple or late croc, and it's interesting. I left Hundo thinking, I'm done with this stupid category because I got a 119, and I was like, I'm done. And then I came back to it now, and I've come completely full circle. Like I love Hundo so much right now.
Awesome.
And yeah, so I'm really into it. It's an interesting contrast after doing RBO, which is like in RBO, every run you die. in Hundo, like I have yet to die in Hundo in the new route that I'm taking.
Right.
I haven't died once yet. And so it's just an interesting comparison between the two categories, really.
Yeah, they're probably about the most different as they can possibly be. I feel like any percent, whether it's old route or new route, you're way more likely to die in that than Hundo, and obviously the same for like low ice or something like that. But that's cool, man. So what's your, I had it on the list over there. I think you PB'd, at least 2 or 3 times now since you came back to it?
Yeah, I got a 1940, like about a week ago. And then last night I tied that, and then today I took a second off. Or rather, it was 39, and now I took it down to 38. So yeah, I've been going through an interesting phase where I'm just like getting very consistent, runs. Like I've had like 8 or 9 now that are in the 119 range. So watch out. There's a new PB coming soon, probably.
Cool, man. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Speaking of PBs, we got to talk about you, man. We got to talk about your low ice.
Oh, yeah. What is it, a 53-40 something?
Yeah, the last time we were talking, you were saying 53 is my goal. And within, a week, you already got it, right?
Yeah, basically, I don't want to make it into a bigger deal than it is or kind of go too deep on it, but I really honestly thought that a 53, like a high 53, would probably be like, pushing it for me, and so that's what I was going to try to get to. I think I just barely got a 54 before that, and out of nowhere, I run with 10 splits. During that run, 7 of the 10 splits, and this is for the record, I want to put this into context. There are over 200 and something runs on that set of splits. 7 of the 10 were either gold or less than a second away from gold. So basically, it was like the luckiest run that I could have possibly have had all at once, and everything just kind of lined up. But now I'm not giving up on it. I've actually been practicing and refining some things. It's going to be very, very difficult for me to run against it, but I do think it's possible. I've already had 2 runs that halfway through were on pace to PB. So yeah. It's definitely possible, but it's just going to take a while. I'm going to spend a few more weeks or maybe another month on it before I move on. But yeah, man, thank you.
Yeah, well, best of luck with that.
Appreciate it. So speaking of sick PBs, okay, I don't want to understate this. Our guest for tonight is zmusic. And
it's Zed music.
Well,
when you're talking to a Canadian, it's Zed music.
I got you. So, in America, Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. Just kidding. But anyway, zmusic is our guest tonight, and as you can see on the screen, I have his primary statistic, which is any percent, which is a 44.19. He just recently came back and ran a 44.19, and I want to make sure everybody understands that is an old route time. And that is officially the second fastest old route time ever run, only behind Zost's world record, like old route world record of 44.08. So that's an incredibly insane time. zmusic, are you there?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Great, man. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us.
Yeah, of course. It's an honor to be here, really.
Cool, man. So let's start there. I mean, we want to get like into a lot of your background and stuff like that, but I kind of just want to start with, if I recall, I think you had not been doing a ton of runs in the last like several weeks or months before you came back and got that PB. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. I took I would say like a 2-month break, maybe 3 month, just to kind of get away from the game, it can definitely tear you down when you do the same thing over and over.
Sure.
So and it helped. It definitely helped. But it was getting a little dry for me, and I just needed to step away, focus on school. But I'm glad to be back, and hopefully can take it even lower.
That's good, man. So explain to me real quick. Currently it's a 44-19. What was your PB before you took the break?
Before I took the break, I had a 44.25, which I had gotten, I think, September, which came way too fast, in my opinion. It just, like, out of nowhere, it just seemed like I had gotten that, and it was kind of like a mental block for me. I never thought I'd get a time like that, and then when I finally did, it never felt like I'd ever beat it. So that's partially where the break came in.
So let me ask you this, because I feel like you're kind of saying the same thing I was talking about with my current low ice PB, which is that, like, even though you're obviously capable of doing it, maybe that run at the time was kind of a bit of an overachiever, or just like kind of really lucky in certain spots. Is that kind of how you feel about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
It blew my mind, so definitely hard to run against.
Well, I was going to say that, for anybody who maybe doesn't run the game as much, or maybe isn't thinking about it mathematically, but like a 6-second PB at the time that you have in that route is actually a big PB. You know what I'm saying? Like, 6 seconds, cutting off 6 seconds off a run that's already that fast is pretty tremendous. Tell me a little bit about that run. Like, I've seen your previous PB before, but like I don't have it memorized. I don't remember exactly where all you kind of felt like you lost time. What was different about this one?
Well, this run, I had taken the week prior to actually doing the run. I had taken about a week just to do a little bit of practice, kind of de-rust. And what happened was I turned on the console that night, and I started recording, and I think maybe I had a one reset in series, and the run just started going. And for whatever reason, everything just seemed to go right in the early game. I had, I think sub 1550 power bombs. Wow. Then I got a fast mid, and I started getting really nervous. And by that point, I knew that like I was way ahead, and I ended up being, I think, like minus 25 at space jump, and it ended up being like the fastest space jump time ever, or something crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that real quick, because your comment in Deer Tier is the time that you reached, I think, Dragon's Door. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I remember Edu or somebody talking to you about that on the Discord. Can you just explain, before you finish the run, can you kind of explain what the deal was with that?
So, I had taken a picture of the splits as soon as I had gotten it, and I posted it in the Discord, and I was looking back through the run as it was kind of posting, and I noticed that the the Dragon Door was, not only was it sub 24, which is incredibly difficult, but it was like I said, 23:43, and Edie he came in and he was like, "Is that the fastest time ever?" And I looked. I was like, I don't know. And he looked up Zost's insane pace that's highlighted on his YouTube or Twitch, and I think Zost had a 23. I think it was a 44.
Oh,
so
wow.
I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. It was crazy, but I didn't think the pace was that good. But the run from that point forward, it went well. I was incredibly nervous by ice because I was still like minus 23, I believe, and I have a lot of time to save after my Ridley split, but it was actually that Ridley split that just kind of went downhill. I lost quite a decent time, but in my PB before that, that was originally a gold, so that was a really hard split to run up against.
Sure.
But I'm pretty happy with it. It just to play with the nerves it's just a battle, so I can't be too upset with myself.
No, dude, and I mean I just can't imagine that your first run back. I mean, I know you were de-rusting. I think you even said, because I talked to you a little bit afterwards, and I think you even said something like it was just supposed to be a de-rust, right?
Yeah, exactly. I actually went into it, and I don't do many no resets because I typically just lose the interest in doing no resets, and I don't play as well. So, but I went into that run saying I'm just going to do a no reset. Get used to everything, get used to the flow. And that's all I need to be doing. I don't need to worry about the time. And it just ended up going very well. So very happy. Good
Cool.
RNG in that run. It was definitely a good run.
Okay, so you're actually bringing up something that I think would be great to talk about, and then Moss, I want to kind of get your perspective on this too. But like, one time I read this sort of informative thing about speedrunning that Fuzda had written, and he talked about how when people first start, they'll watch a lot of streams of like really top tier runners, and they'll see people doing a lot of resets, and the logical reason is because like for example, Z, you're at the point now where your run is so incredibly crazy optimized that like if you get even just slightly behind at the beginning, there's really no way to catch up, right? So it makes sense to do a lot of resets because you're gunning for, like you're kind of to the point now where you're still learning. I mean, everybody's always learning, but like you have this run, pretty much exactly how you want it, and then you have to execute all this crazy hard stuff. So you don't really do a lot of new resets, and for good reason because of where you are, skill wise. But a lot of new runners will see that, and sometimes they'll be resetting constantly when their PB is like an hour and 10 minutes or something. So could you just kind of provide some perspective about how you've approached getting better, not only with practice, but certain types of runs, not just right this second, but like as you've gotten better?
That's an interesting point. I definitely, if you have a PB of about an hour and 10, or even anything above a 50, you definitely don't want to reset necessarily in the first 10, 15, even 20 minutes, because it's very unlikely that you've gone so far down a hole that it's impossible to PB, and there's nothing more realistic practice wise than actually finishing a run and getting late game practice in it with everything being said. One thing that I've noticed with myself is that when I tend to go for a no reset run, let's say I'm on a really good pace and I mess up something and it's obviously not going to PB at that point, I tend to lose the interest and I don't focus as well. And so that's why at this point I don't. I try to do them, but if I'm not focusing, I just kind of avoid it. But when I was starting out, definitely like you want to get as many no reset runs as possible, because you never know. You could be plus 30 and have a really good late game and just PB by 30 seconds or something crazy like that.
Right.
So it's definitely something you want to take advantage of.
Yeah, so Moss, like from your perspective too, since you're doing a lot of hundo right now, how do you kind of feel about that? And then I'll let you ask some questions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hundo is a good one to use as an example because Hundo is substantially longer than any percent. So I fall into that problem of resetting too often sometimes. But when I've been doing Hundo the last little while, like I'll sometimes have a few things that I'll like. If I get to the elevator heading to Brinstar, if I'm at like over 620, then maybe I'll consider resetting. But like I'll have a couple of spots where I'm kind of thinking it, but usually what I'm trying to do at least is if I'm behind, like I'll see how the next couple of splits are going to go, right? Like, because if you can climb back 10 seconds, or if you're 30 seconds behind and your next two splits you're -9 on each of them, then you're on your way back. Plus you've got your rhythm at that point. It's really easy to get into tunnel vision of the first 5 minutes, especially if the climb and the parlor don't go very well. And to be realistic, the climb and the parlor are two of the most precise and harder rooms in almost the whole game. So it's unfair to say that like, it's a crappy climb, I should reset at this point. To put it in perspective of my runs, like I'm doing 119s now, and I'm seeing I'll be 20 seconds behind at gravity suit or even later, and I'll still would be within 5 seconds by the end. So even when you're getting down to like 119 is a decent time. It's not what the top players are doing, but there's still like upwards of 20 to 30 seconds of play, even when you're getting to times like that. So yeah, if you're going for a 50, you should pretty much not be resetting as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. If can I add something to what I was saying?
Sure.
I think this might help a lot of people. When I was stuck at that 44.25, one of the issues that I had was my fan tune time was almost never good enough. for me, in my opinion. And so I would always reset there, and I would burn out a lot. And recently, what I've been doing is I've been looking at Zost, and I'm saying, he's getting down to the low 41s. There's a lot of time to save. I don't care how good I think my run has to be. There's a lot of time to save. And so something that I've been doing is, if the run feels okay, and even if I get a bad fan tune, just keep going. Like, you never know what can happen. And the worst thing that could ever happen, right, is that you get practice. And that's going to help a lot. And I think mentally that helps me a lot. And I think that's honestly why I had got that PB so soon. I just had a much more relaxed approach to it.
Great, man. That's awesome. So, Moss, do you have any specific questions? Like, since we're on the PB and his any percent old route stuff, you obviously have a very good old route time as well. Would you like to ask him any specific questions about his experience with old route?
I just want to talk a little bit about, someone who's still running old route, who is, a very top tier runner. It's one of the things I like the most about your channel, Zed. Is that,
thank you.
Like the top players, they usually just say, okay, I'm done with old route. Like, once they get a certain time, there's just no point, because you can shave a lot of time off in new route. And I love old route. There's a lot of the tricks in there that I really love and I really miss now that I'm working on new route. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, can you talk a little bit about why old route, like why you're sticking with it for so long?
Well, yeah, sure. When I first came into Super Metroid, I guess it was kind of like an initial goal of mine, because at that time, when I first came out, I think Oates, when I first started watching on Twitch, I believe Oates was grinding down for the 41, and watching him, and then eventually Zost came in and started grinding. After seeing that, I was like completely turned away from the 41. I mean, I never thought I'd be able to compete with those guys. And so when I looked at the tutorials, and they were for old route, I decided that, wouldn't it be cool to try and beat the old route record? It seemed like a time that had stood for so long, or is still standing. And I don't have to worry about Zos coming back. I don't have to worry about Oates or a lot of those guys. So I can kind of just like do it from, not in the spotlight, if that makes any sense. And hopefully, do something cool. And I do like the route, and I've become pretty close with it. So I'm kind of hard on myself. I definitely want to look back when I'm all said and done and have that perfect run that I can be very proud of.
Sure. So is that the goal? Like, you hit the world record for that route, and then off into the world of Super Metroid?
Well, actually, no. I'm definitely very excited to do other stuff with this game. That was just the initial goal that I set, and I kind of figured that if I just stick with it and don't worry about any other category at the time, then I can maybe progress faster.
Sure.
And so when I do reach that goal, I look forward to doing different categories. I definitely love the game. So
yeah, is there any category in particular that you're like really excited about taking a look at?
Yeah, 100%, for sure. 100% is probably one of my favorite. I like low percent ice a lot, and the main 4 RBO is interesting to me. Mm-hmm. GT Classic is another one that I like, and if it's to the point where I might want to do like a meme category, like maybe Spore Spawn RTA, I probably would say that I'd be interested in pretty much every category at some point or another.
Sure.
It takes time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It does take time. Like, obviously you're investing a lot of time in old route right now. I mean, do you think that, like, are you going to do the same thing where you're going to just pick one category and say, okay, Hundo is my baby now, and I don't stop till I'm,
Yeah, let me just grind this for 5 years until I beat Behemoth. Actually, probably not. I don't think I probably would set a pretty good goal, like maybe a 116, 115, and then do something else. But if any time during a grind after any percent, if I want to switch around, I definitely will, just to keep it interesting. I think that'll be a lot more fun for me, and a lot easier to grind out stuff when you're not doing the same thing over and over.
Sure. That's great, man. Kipp, do you want to take over with maybe some backstory questions?
Yeah, so, we're eventually, I want to get to kind of how you got into Super Metroid, but first, let's kind of start at the very, very beginning. This is always my favorite part about asking runners, their background. So tell me a little bit about your childhood in terms of video games. Like, how did you get into video gaming? What was like your first console? Like what, not speedrunning, but just video games in general.
When I was growing up, I had access to my Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and then I later got a GameCube when that came out. But initially, growing up as a child, I always would play Super Nintendo or the 64. Those were the two consoles that I'd always play. And one of my favorite games growing up was definitely Super Metroid. And I can still remember when I was probably maybe 4 or 5 years old. I can still remember like the ever beat Kraid, and it was just a game that I've always liked.
So did you own this game growing up, or did you rent it, or what?
Well, around this time, my father actually had bought a Super Nintendo when it had come out, and this is like one of the big games at that time, and so he had it laying around, and I used to just play it all the time. So I did own it, but it wasn't, I didn't buy it myself.
Gotcha. Do you remember anything about your first playthrough of the game? Like do you remember like what you were doing or what you thought about it?
Honestly, I think that's way too far back. I think the earliest memories I can have were me just going through some of his saves, like when he had played it many years prior. And I just, roaming around, like coming in, already with gravity and like all the top level equipment that you get in the game, just kind of running around exploring. I never like beat the game until, oh man, probably much later, probably when I was like 12, 13. I didn't beat the game until a lot longer.
Gotcha. So did you ever do any speed running, or like what would you say is like the beginning of your speed running? Is it just Super Metroid, or was there were there other things that you did that kind of like got you interested in going fast?
I definitely never had done any speed runs, like not really with anything. I became interested in the game for sure prior to speedrunning it. That's why I picked this game. But in terms of if I had ever done anything speedrun, not really. Just it came down to just seeing how beautiful this game looked at the top tier level, and I was like, you know what, I think I want to give this a shot.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, like you just said, I love the fact that you called it beautiful. I think that's a great term for it. Like when this game is played at a high level, there's just a certain, I don't know how to describe it. There's just a certain beauty about it. It's just different than a lot of other games. So
it definitely is.
Yeah, so I definitely agree. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about, you mentioned earlier about why you decided to run Old Route. Like, when did you start running this game? Because if I recall correctly, you have not been running this game for very long, like in the grand scheme of things, right?
Right. So I started doing runs back in, let's see, late 2016. It was December, and that's why I kind of had a different like mindset coming into the game. I wanted to. It comes back to the whole like the reason I started doing the runs in the first place was just I thought the game looked so amazing, and so when I started, I just wanted to practice and get everything down because it didn't really interest me to finish a run. I wanted it to look like I wanted every room to look, like it had a purpose. So I started grinding this I think late 2016. It just, if I remember correctly, it's on my Twitch, but late 2016.
Gotcha. I mean, that's, I remember I've talked to you about this before because you started just like barely before I did. And I remember thinking, like, when I first met you, I remember thinking, like, how did this guy get so fast, so quickly? Because you had this like tremendously fast time, like very quickly. And I mean, to only have been playing a year and roughly 3 months or 4 months or whatever, is to be grinding for a potential kind of world record in what used to be like the most ran route in category is pretty crazy.
Thank you.
But so I guess the last thing that I want to ask about is will you tell us? There's kind of two things. I want you to tell us a little bit about your philosophy. You know, you've mentioned it some, but your philosophy with the game currently. Like, what are you trying to do in terms of like practice? Like, how do you go about practicing or trying to get better? You know, even at the level that you are. And then, kind of secondly, if you would just tell us a little bit about, you know, kind of like your channel and how often you stream and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I would say the first and definitely the most important part is that you have to be having fun. And if you're not having fun with it, then there's really no hope in you ever, accomplishing much with the game. So for me personally, and I feel like I had an efficient kind of a efficient rising with this game. But for me, what I found to be fun was just doing a lot of practice. And it started out with doing a room and learning the next room and just going back and forth between the rooms. And every room I had learned before I started doing runs. So eventually, after doing all the rooms, it took a while to learn. But when I started doing runs, I started PBing. I had broke sub 50 very, very fast. And then 48, 47. And I think that, and I this is just my opinion, I think that might be one of the better ways to start, is always attempt some of the harder strats. You might not always be able to get them, but you can always attempt and try and practice, and over time I think that really does pay off a lot. But if that's not what you want to do with the game, then definitely have fun with that. Like I said, that's by far the most important part, that I've noticed. And that kind of comes into the next question you asked recently. I haven't been doing much on my channel lately in terms of streaming because of school and whatnot. But typically, when I was, I guess we'll call it my prime, when I was streaming, I would usually stream but once a day, maybe a few hours, and just do some attempts. I keep it strictly to Super Metroid, so I wouldn't really be playing anything else. And I do plan to come back soon and stream more, especially if I can beat this 70% time and progress to a new thing I'd love to learn. But in my channel, if you ever want to stop by, and I am streaming, whatever it is, it's going to be Super Metro, whether it's just practice and music or runs. But I try to stay with this game and just have fun with it, meet people, and it can be a lot of fun.
Definitely, man. Well, obviously we wish you nothing but the best, and massive good luck in your pursuit of the old route world record, or even further. I mean, just I guess as a closing question, even if you got it, like if you ran a 44.06 or something like that, would you consider continuing until you try to get a 43, or is it just going to be like you're just going for the record?
I've thought about what I'll do. As of right now, if I beat his time and I don't get a 43, then I'll switch to 15 and 10 missiles and go from there, and definitely try to get a 43.
Gotcha.
I don't want to leave it there. There's a lot of people I think they would like to see that, including myself. So that would be the plan.
Cool. Well, I've long contended that even though any percent, is any percent, and so it's either old route or new route or whatever. But at the same time,
or low ice, I guess technically.
Well, everything's any percent, but I'm talking about in terms of like if you're just specifically pursuing an 80% time. I feel like old route, even though it's not capable of getting down to like 42s and 41s like the super top times right now, I feel like the interest is still incredibly high because the vast majority of the people who run this game, even for fun, are all running old route. So I don't feel like old route will ever go out of style or be something that people don't find incredibly fascinating. So I wish you nothing but the best, man. Good luck in your pursuit. It's really cool, to watch you play and to see you operate at such a high level. And we appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Moss, real quick, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call you back and get Overfiend on the line.
Great.
So thank you to zmusic for coming on tonight, and I'll be right back, Moss. So yeah, thanks, big thanks to zmusic for coming on and talking to us. For the first time, we're going to have a second guest. It's going to take me just a minute to get it set up, but we got Overfiend VIP coming on, and he, within the last 10 days or so, has set a new world record in low percent ice and low percent speed. He's the first human to ever run a 49 in low percent ice, and he just cut his low percent speed world record by like 2 minutes, which is crazy. So let me get him on the line here. Okay, so first of all, Moss, can you hear me?
Hello.
Good, okay, and Overfiend, are you there?
Hey guys.
Hey, welcome back. It's great to hear from you.
Yeah, same to you.
Yeah, dude, thank you for being the first person on Strat Chat to make a second appearance, and for very good reason. Everybody in the community knows who Overfiend is, but in terms of Strat Chat, he was so far the only guest that we've had that actually not only spoke with us in an interview, but showed strats for GT Classic. But the main thing, I need to update my slide real quick to get your stats up here. But the main reason that I wanted to have you on tonight is because of how, basically, here we go. How basically exciting it is that you just set 2 new world records, one in a very major category within like the last, 10 days, and your new low percent ice world record is the very first sub 50 time ever run. So first of all, huge congratulations to you, man.
Thank you. And I didn't know that about the second appearance. It's an honor.
Yes. Well, I know the 2 new world records in 10 days was kind of a big deal, but I'm glad that we were able to give you your biggest moment in Super Metroid once again. So welcome back. So first of all, let's just talk about that. You didn't, unless I'm mistaken, you didn't stream a Super Metroid run for like several months. Is that correct?
Yeah, my last one was like Halloween of last year or something like that, when I was doing GT code attempts for 14, which I managed to get pretty quickly. Like, I think I did 3 streams, and I think the very first stream actually PB'd like 3 times in a row, which was pretty crazy. And then after that, it was just like slowly whittling it down from there to barely a sub 15, but I finally got it. But from that point on, I didn't really stream. Like, I did intend to. I was still sort of working on Super Metroid when I had spare time, but I just never really got in form with any categories at the time to like stream them, because I don't like to do attempts and stream attempts until I feel really comfortable with what I'm working on in particular. So it just so happens that I went like 5 months without ever really streaming anything.
Gotcha. So, I'm pretty sure, like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I was there for the first attempt back. You basically came back, you were running low ice. I think your very first run, I think it stopped pretty shortly, like at Fantine or something. And then the second one, you came in and PB'd by I don't even remember. It was like 15 seconds or something, but you just PB'd out of nowhere. And then you were laughing and you were like, I don't know if I should do another run or not. You decided to, out of nowhere, you run world record, first 49 ever. So talk me through, that was on April Fool's Day. Talk me through a little bit about what that experience was like.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I had a run stopped, but I can say the first completed run I had was 50-24. I had 50-35 before that, which I got right before SGDQ of last year. So yeah, that was, the entire stream was surprising, but that was surprising. Very first run back, I PB by 11 seconds. And then next run, it was I had been warming up, and I do usually warm up with CWJ and Fantoon for these runs, because compared to Zost and Behemoth and Oates, that's something in particular that I sort of look at as my Achilles compared to them. I'm definitely not as consistent at getting over the moat quickly and killing Fantoon quickly as they are. I'm sure most people would say I'm quite good at it, but those things in particular, they're sort of on another level. So I try to warm up with those because I think it helps, especially to stream me doing them. I think it helps too, because it's a different mental state streaming them compared to sitting in your room. There's no stream on. You're just by yourself. There's no added pressure there, I guess. I think practicing under that pressure helps me. So I did that, and then first run 50-24, and second run I get first try CWJ in the fast mid Fantoon, which put me ahead by 30 something seconds, and I just managed to basically carry it from there to the end without any huge mistakes. Dragon was relatively awful, I'd say, but other than that, there just wasn't anything big. And yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
Yeah, so
First 50 on April Fool's Day, all days too.
and if I'm not mistaken, you don't actually look at your splits while you're running. Is that correct?
I try not to. Like, it depends. Like, now, if I was to improve it, I might look at like G4 or something just to know if I should like really risk the Metroid room. So like, if I could like, if there's some way I could catch up to my run, like let's say I'm like a few seconds behind, then maybe I'd look at my splits at G4 and go, okay, maybe if I really risk these Metroid rooms and do X, Y, and Z, there's a chance, you know. But outside of looking at splits to like know what risk to take, I generally don't look at splits until like Rainbow cutscene at the earliest, because I think it just helps me better manage the pressure better if I just don't know. Because I mean, I'm kind of lucky in this way that I end up doing so few runs that I don't really get a good barometer on like how well I'm doing in the middle of the run. So hiding splits is a bit more effective for me, because like you've probably been there for a run where I just sort of assume that I'm like that 49. I think I just assumed that I was behind after Draco
Yeah,
because of how
you
it
did.
went. But I was still like 20 something seconds ahead. But like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't really have a good grasp on how ahead or behind I am. So I think hiding splits makes me, you know, keeps me guessing, but in like a good way. In a way I don't like worry as much. Because if I knew I was ahead, I'd probably be a bit more worried, you know.
Right. And so I was watching that run, and you had mentioned, I think, like, I don't remember exactly what you said, but you had mentioned, like, at G4 or maybe some point in Torian that you thought, like, yeah, this has been a pretty good run. You know, I don't really know exactly what it is. And, like, I saw your splits, obviously. So I was sitting there going, like, I don't think he realizes what he's about to do right here. And then you got up to the ship. I can't remember, but I don't even think you knew that it was a 49 until several seconds after, because you didn't have it pulled up. Is that right?
No, the only indication I would really have of it being 49 is how chat was sort of reacting based on my splits that they could see and I couldn't, but I still didn't know entirely. Like, I thought maybe they thought I was on, like, low 50 pace, like maybe they thought I was bopping Zos but not actually 49ing. So chat was my best indication that it was a 49, but I still wasn't sure. I was like, I guess, kind of sort of thinking it was 49, but not totally sure. And then when I pull the splits over and I see not only was it 49, but it was like 49, like 49.52. Yeah, that was a genuine surprise.
Yeah, I guess now would be a good time to also congratulate you on your first ever sub 50 any%, dude. That's a big hallmark.
Thanks. You know, I definitely worked very hard for this.
Probably harder than any other human that's ever achieved a sub 50 any% time. So yeah, congrats, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
So real quick, before we talk about low speed, because we haven't even gotten to that yet, you know, when you were kind of in your in-between, I guess from Halloween through now, was there any particular reason that you decided to come back to low percent ice immediately as opposed to like another category or something?
Yeah, I was working on a different category actually, but I guess I'm putting this pretty simply. That Zost sort of made his intentions known that he would be going back to low percent after any percent, which, I mean, it makes sense because they're so similar, especially like the first 15 minutes are basically exactly the same. So it makes sense that he would go back to low percents after any percent, because there's not much to learn, really. So I was like, I got it in my head that like if I was going to have any chance of having low ice record and also being like the first person to set some milestones like 49 in ice and 55 in speed, then, you know, my window, it looked to me like my window was narrowing, because it looked like Zost, like back when I was thinking about this in like March or whatever, it looked like Zost could have had like his PB, like the 27 in-game time run. Like, who knows? He could have happened tomorrow. I mean, obviously it didn't happen back then, but that's how I was looking at it. It was like my window for certain milestones that I wanted to achieve and goals I wanted to achieve was narrowing. So I decided to pick low percent back up, and yeah, here we are.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, so speaking of that, you know, you mentioned the low speed thing, and I have a lot of questions about this because number one, you just mentioned a second ago like that you wanted to try to get a 55, but you managed to, if I recall correctly, you just straight shaved 2 minutes off your PB and jumped straight to the 54. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes flat.
Yeah, and it's a low 54 already. Was it a 54.13? I've got it pulled up over here somewhere.
Yeah, I went from 56.13 to 54.13. I was pretty close on some runs that only got one PB drop in Torian to PBing, which my 56.13 had 2 PB drops. And at the time, I sort of thought, like, if I get a 55 with only one PB drop, then I'd probably just call it there, because 55 with one PB drop would have been basically about as well executed of a run as my current PB, you know? So as far as execution goes, I would have been content, I think, to stop at a 55 one drop if it happened. But what happened was, so my thought process for low percent speed was that, like, since the run like pretty much revolves around Torian luck, that I should just carry as many runs as possible to Torian and see what happens, you know? Like zmusic said earlier, like, the worst case is it's practice, and for a category like low percent speed, you can't really complain about more practice, especially in an RTA environment where, like, the pressure is different. And I was sort of struggling with short charging under pressure of an RTA environment, which we can talk about later, maybe not, but I'll just throw that out there, that low percent speed really helped me with my short charging, because that was a bit inconsistent until here. But anyway, so I carried about 20 runs to the end. Like, I never got stopped once, with the exception of like one run which I threw away to Mother Brain 1 because I was trying to like talk in the middle of it. But otherwise, I did 20 runs in a row, didn't get stopped, but also never got the quote unquote luck, which is basically getting 2 power bomb drops in Torian is a 12% chance roughly, and it saves a massive amount of time to get, which is why I was carrying runs that far without resetting. But 20 runs in a row, never getting that luck, and then I get a run with that luck. Not only that luck, but in the third Metroid room, every Metroid dropped a power bomb, which I don't know that this happened to anybody before, but supposedly it's like a 0.2% chance or something insane.
That was wild.
So, yeah. So that happened, and then unfortunately I get the Mother Brain 2, and I get all the way to Red Beam, and I apparently like died because like apparently you can like crouch lock. Like, I crouched down to do like a crouch jump, and I guess I pressed jump in the middle of the crouch and crouch locked myself and died. But after that run, I was like, I guess I did, you know, a salty run back, so to speak. I didn't want to go out like that, and I figured, you know, I'll at least do another run for the night, see what happens. And lo and behold, I get another run, like 2 back-to-back runs with the luck after 20 without the luck. And I thankfully this time managed to stay alive during MB2, just barely though, because there was one point during that fight, I think around like the 50th shot, where I didn't think I had crouched, so I pressed down again, and I was already crouched, so I morphed, and I ate like 3 rings.
Yeah.
I could, like, if I had eaten that 4th ring, I would have been gone, but somehow I only ate 3. So I was on 315 health for the rest of the fight, and thankfully managed to like clutch it out, and now we're at 54-13 for the record.
That's my favorite part about the Soul story, like, especially since you ended up succeeding, is that, like, you know, you had talked about how, you know, I'm just going to do these runs, you know, even though Mother Brain is 300 shots, I'm just going to keep doing runs to Torian, and hopefully I'll get the luck eventually, right? And so you did all those runs, you never got it, but you killed Mother Brain every single time. You finally get the run where you get the luck, and it's the only time that you make, you know, an accidental, like, error against Mother Brain that actually, like, costs you to die. And then immediately your next run was not only the same luck, but you actually performed much better on the stuff prior to Torian, and you had cut, like, way more time. So I'm just really happy that you didn't lose the run that was fast, you know, and then, like, instead of reversing them or whatever. So that was really cool.
Yeah. If I'll just say something about that too. Yeah, that's true. Like, the run that I had after the run that got slaughtered was about 40 seconds faster to like the big Metroid, which is really cool. I mean, like you were saying, it'd be kind of crummy to like have the better run die and the worst run live, so to speak. So that was nice. And yeah, like I guess I'll just mention this too. When I stream, maybe it's a bit selfless of me, but I know that people don't really want to see me like I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but I'm just saying like I know that people don't want to watch like me in particular reset the mode or reset the fan tune. I try pretty hard not to, even when they go bad. I just still try to like carry runs, and especially with low percent speed, I knew like most mistakes don't matter until Torian. Like Torian is what makes the mistakes matter or not. So like I said, I just wanted to carry as many runs as I could to the end, see what happens. If they don't get the luck, then I'll just finish them out anyway. Because I know people probably want to see me finish these runs too. So that was just all I was trying to do with that. And obviously, it worked out really well with the end goal. I feel really fortunate that not only was I given like a second chance with the run after the first one dying like that, but that it only took like 22 runs total, like a week's worth of runs, because I was totally expecting and prepared for this to take like many more weeks, just given how the category is, but it only took one. So I'm like really happy about that in particular.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So, but anyway, huge congratulations. I've got your stats up right now. Um, I pretty much have just about everything that you have times for up here. But like, even if we don't count Sportspawn RTA, which you have like the number 2 time but even if we didn't count that, you're literally world record in every single category that you run except for 100%, and you're still 4th in that, which is incredibly fast. So like, right now, like your times are incredibly impressive. You just finished low percent ice, just did low percent speed. I think right now you're working on low percent chargeless. Is that correct?
Yeah, I want to see if I can get 46 on that. Which, I mean, I keep saying it, but I expect this one. I feel like if there's any category is going to be around to beat this one, just because it's a lot harder of a category to simply complete runs of. I mean, if the run is, you're pretty much guaranteed to finish it once you get past Dragon, but just getting to and then past Dragon is really tough. Like what it involves, like the frame perfect crystal flashes and all that sort of thing. It's a lot harder on paper to just finish runs up.
Okay, so real quick, I don't want to get like too technical, but I think like you and Edu, who was in chat earlier, are the last time I looked, y'all are the only 2 people who have ever even completed a low percent chargeless run. So there's probably not a ton of people that know, all the ins and outs of the run. So you don't have to give us like a comprehensive explanation, but you talked about how difficult it can be to get a few of those tricks. Can you just give like a brief explanation for how that stuff works and like what you have to do to even get the run to work?
Yeah, I'll try. So it's called chargeless. So obviously you don't grab charge beam, and so like low ice you get gravity, ice, and charge. Well, in this case you get gravity, but you get 2 power bomb packs instead. So you have 3 total. So that lets you do crystal flashes. And now like ice is how you one get into Botchwoon. That's like the main stopping point for I guess routing is like Botchwoon's pipes. Like you need some way to get past them, or yeah, and Zebatites. Like that's the main 2 places is Botchwoon pipes and Zebatites. So what crystal flashing does is like similar to how when you shine spark and it gets interrupted, like on Dragon when you shine sparker and she dies, you get your shine spark interrupted and that makes a blue suit. Well, if you interrupt a crystal flash, it makes a shine spark suit. And one of the ways to interrupt a crystal flash, which is done on the run, is to activate an elevator on the same frame as the crystal flash. And that instead of activating the crystal flash and using it the ammo, it just gives you a shine spark suit instead. Um, and you basically carry that all the way to the Botchwoon pipes to bust through. And then fight Botchwoon, uh, fill your ammo back up afterward, get the Dragon, and then at Dragon you do a little bit of magic to then crystal flash on the same frame she grabs you, and for some reason the memory addresses of like the you know that there's a counter for shaking her off. Like if you do 60 D-pad inputs, that shakes her
Right.
off. For some reason, that's shared with the Crystal Flash ammo depletion, where you can actually have the D-pad inputs for shaking her off influence the ammo values, so that you can underflow your ammo if you like know how to input the D-pad when she has you grabbed during Crystal Flash. So yeah, that's basically what you do. Like you underflow the ammo during the Crystal Flash there, and then take her out and leave. And well, after you leave, you have to reload the game. Like you like leave and then take the save station above Dragon to reload the game. Which luckily it keeps your ammo underflowed through that whole save and reload. But you reload the game because you had to set up this like permagoose state. I realize I'm probably explaining too much. So I'm just gonna cut it off.
No, it's okay. I mean, basically what you're showing us is that it's really a lot of stuff that you have to do, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So that, because I think most people, like, especially people that might not be quite as experienced with the game, are probably still a little confused. Like, if you don't have charge beam, like, how do you kill Mother Brain, for example? So you're talking about with underflowing the super missile count, it gives you, like, is it infinite or just a huge number of supers? Is that how you end up killing Mother Brain and everything else?
It might as well be infinite. Like people usually call it infinite. It's actually it's a little over 65,000. So you would have to be spamming at a wall for like hours, to ever like have the ammo deplete. So yeah, people usually refer to it as infinite. It's not technically infinite, but it might as well be infinite.
So basically, you could, once you have it, you could spend the rest of the run spamming while running, and you wouldn't run out.
No, you wouldn't come close.
Man, if I ever do this category, that's how I'm going to do my first run. I'm just going to spam supers the whole way through.
Yeah, you could.
So, I think, were you the first person to ever complete a run of this category?
No, Edu did it, I think, some months. I want to say like 8 or 9 months before I did. And I forget what motivated me exactly. Maybe just because it's the fastest low percent, quote unquote, that made me sort of motivated, and also Snick sort of suggesting me to do certain things. And it did seem cool. Like, who doesn't want to like eventually have infinite ammo to just run around and destroy everything with, and not have to like worry about that for the rest of the game?
Yeah.
After the second boss,
That's cool. So yeah, shout outs to Ida, who is in chat right now. It's pretty cool to be the first person to run like a brand new category or whatever, and like I think it sounds kind of intimidating. I mean, I don't think there's any other way around it. Like, it sounds like it'd be really awesome, but I can imagine that you probably have a lot of runs that just die to like not getting the correct frame input on the elevator or whatever. Is that pretty accurate?
Well, I mean, when I start this grind, I imagine that's what's going to happen, but it's hard to say because most of my runs that I did finished, if not PB'd. Like, again, it's so strange how like nice this game is to me sometimes, but I didn't really have much of a grind to get to 47 in the category, but going for 46, yeah, that'll probably be the case. Like, I can't realistically not get the elevator crystal flash first try and still PB, because missing it in a way that you ride the elevator is at least like 30 seconds lost. So I have to imagine that there's going to be a bunch of runs when I go for 46 that are just not going to PB because of missing it like that, and yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So I remember last time you were on, you were talking a little bit about how like there's always room to improve with every run that you end up doing. But I'm curious, like, what you think with current strats and optimal movement, like for these 3 low percent categories, where do you think is like, where's the bottom? I mean, obviously, like with speed, getting a sub 50, like I guess sub 54 is a very obvious target at this point. But do you have an idea of like a feeling for the bottom yet?
Well, I'll just say my sum of best, I only used 7 splits for low percent, but still my sum of bests in ice was is right now like a 49.10, I want to say. And my sum of best in low speed is 53.20ish, something like that. So I would say, like, realistically, which is hard to use because we're talking about like the bottom end, but I would say like realistic and like end time, so to speak, would be like, I could definitely see 49.3x happening in ice, maybe 2x, although I'm not sure like when or who, but I definitely could see 49.2x happening in ice. Lower is hard to imagine. And low percent speed 53 could definitely happen. Like, my PB could have been a 53 had I don't know, gotten CWJ first try and not had to retry the short charge inputs for ZebSpark as many times as I did. Like, I never entered the room, but I did have to try like 3 or 4 times to like sequence things properly. So like with 2 or 3 mistakes difference, my same run could have been a 53, you know, so that definitely could happen. That's more so just a matter of who would actually grind for that, you know, with the luck involved. But yeah, 53 in low speed and 49 2x in ice could definitely happen. I don't know if they will, but they definitely could happen.
That's cool, man. Well, hey, before we kind of wrap this up, tell us a little bit about, like, I know you're working on low percent chargeless right now, but once you get done with that, do you have any specific future plans? Like, are you going to return to low ice because you just said you thought you could make it go lower, or what are you kind of intending to do over the next several months?
Yeah, more than likely, I'll go back to ice after chargeless. I mean, there's no guarantee, but I've thought about it. I've thought quite a bit about it, and there's just a few too many mistakes, especially the Dragon could be way better. Uh, so I might go back to get 49 3x possibly, or at least just another PB, like something I'm a bit happier with, because I am happy with 49, but it just wasn't as clean as I was expecting a 49 to have to be to get 49, you know? So I might go back to that. After I do, or if I don't, my next category would likely be GT Classic. I can definitely get 33 1x, which would be like 22 in game or something like that, which would be like the next in game time minute, because there's no 22s, I think. So that'd be pretty cool. 32 is possible in GT Classic for sure, but the issue with that is, and I've told a few people this in the past, is that the lower you go with GT Classic, the more it starts to depend on Fantune's pattern. And Fantune only does one pattern, and his first pattern is the 50% chance of being slow. Like, I would have to imagine that like most runs will die to Fantune being slow. That would have been 32 otherwise, you know. So I'll have to see when I go back to it, but depending on like how much influence Fantune actually has, yeah, it may make 32 a bit too out of reach, you know.
Sure.
But those are my current plans. Is after chargeless, maybe try ice. If I do, or if I don't, then GT Classic afterward.
Cool, man. Well, it is great to have you back streaming and doing runs. It's incredibly exciting that you've set these new records. And obviously, I've been enjoying hanging out, watching your stream. So thank you once again for taking the time to come and talk to us today. And good luck with your chargeless runs, man.
No problem. My pleasure. Thanks, guys, for having me on. See you later.
See you, man.
Bye.
All right. So big thank you to Overfiend as well for coming on and talking with us tonight. Moss, looks like, I think, yeah, we're both in the chat alone now, so we're good to go. I won't have to call you back. I'm going to update the timer, and I'm going to turn this over to your stream. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking a good bit about 100% strategies. And so while you've shared your screen with me, while I'm setting it up, Moss, do you want to kind of tell everybody the first section you're going to cover and why you think it's important?
Sure. We're going to talk to start with tonight about Brinstar cleanup. The main reason I thought it would be good to start with this is that this is kind of the first section of Hundo that if you know any percent and you haven't really done Hundo, this is a section where it's essentially wholly new to you. there is stuff in Hundo before this that is a little different. Like you do more stuff in the wreck ship and etc. But essentially, it's if you're only used to any percent, Brinstar cleanup is kind of one of the sections where it's like all this is new. I've never done any of this stuff, so I think it's kind of a good spot to start.
Gotcha.
With.
Hey.
Yeah, I also think it's a good spot that like you can shave a lot of time off of Brinstar cleanup. Like when I started grinding this segment, like I took a minute off of my time just from doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it turns out that I actually do need to call you back on the individual line for the video to work, so I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
All right, let me fix this real quick. Okay, cool, and just share your screen with me. Yeah. But to Moss's point real quick, one other thing is that this section that he's going to be talking to you about is not literally every single room, but a large percentage of some of the stuff he's going to talk about is applicable to RBO as well. So, yes. In fact, when I came back to Hundo to do a little bit of prep for the tournament, my Brinstar cleanup isn't great, but it was better than it was when I was trying to run Hundo because I had just finished doing so much RBO. So I think that's kind of one of the extra value parts of it or something. Hold on, I need to fix this.
It's also become one of my favorite sections of Hundo. There's a little bit of everything in Brinstar cleanup. You have, there's like you got wall jumping, you've got short charges, you've got very specific placement to make shots. Pretty much everything that every part of your fundamentals is going to be part of the Brinstar cleanup, and it does them all in a very quick succession. So. It's a cool part. I really enjoy doing Brinstar cleanup. Oops.
Cool, man. Well, you're set up and good to go. Your screen is on, so take it away, and I'll just kind of fill in the gaps occasionally.
All right, terrific. So one of the things that I actually kind of learned about doing this segment is that a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about, that they have your first time through Hundo, some of these things you can almost do pretty much right away. So it's just learning how to go through these things. So coming down here, the first thing that usually most people do is just ball up and work your way down somehow like this. If you want to, it saves about a second to do Moonfall if you're into Moonfall. I actually find weaving down through here easier if you're doing Moonfall. It's a little bit of a straighter line to come down. We should talk a little bit about Moonfall buffering strats, because if you're having trouble getting consistent Moonfalls, I actually learned this from Overfiend, a really easy way to buffer Moonfalls. So if you hold left, jump, and shoot, so I'm buffering a jump at this point. So you have to actually jump into the air and then hold jump before you land in order to make this work. If you hold these three inputs, and then when you start moonwalking to the right, all you have to do is actually release shot. That's it, in order to get the timing on this thing. So all I do is, as I move to the right, I'll just release shot, and it'll work every time. So it's a very, very consistent way of doing it. I don't do Moonfalls unless I can buffer the jump. I just don't find them consistent enough for me to do them properly. So in every time I'm doing a Moonfall, I'm buffering the jump. So at the very beginning, I actually just hold right, jump, and angle. And actually, you can hold shoot too. You can hold all of them. Just do a little hop to the right and turn around, and then just do your Moonfall. So the easiest way to get down that I've found is I use this this bulb in the background here, this sort of blue orb, right? It's sort of hard because it moves in the background, but this sort of vertical position, I use that. So I ball up and I move right to this position. And I come all the way down, and once I pass this platform, I just hold right, and it puts you right here perfectly every time. So let's see if I can do it. So just ball up and hold right, and that's it. You get down there pretty much perfectly every time. You lay your power bomb. You can shoot this guy on the way down. It'll reduce some lag. And then from here, same exact thing. As I'm falling, usually during the lag of the power bombs, I'm buffering jump and also buffering shoot shot. And then I just go to the left, release shot, and you do a buffered Moonfall. So So yeah, that saves about a second. I think it's worth practicing. If you've got Moonfall in, you might as well start trying to use this thing. Like I said, I find it easier to go down that first drop because you don't have to weave as much. If I tried to do it without Moonfall, you notice you have to weave a little bit more to kind of get between all of these enemies. It's just a little bit more left to right movement, but the Moonfall is much easier if you land it. So shoot that guy if you can. So usually you can shoot straight down and it'll work. I usually just fire 2 missiles. This next room, I don't think it's any different in terms of time which item you grab first in this point. Overfiend might be able to prove me wrong, but I think more or less it's pretty much the same time which one you get. I usually get the first one, the E-Tank first, and then just mockball through. I don't think it matters though. So you can shoot your super right around here. I use, again, the blue orbs in the background as a reference. You can shoot right there, and it'll open the door. And I usually jump for the mockball right around this orb right here. So I use these 2 specific orbs to know when to shoot and jump. So coming through, just shoot, jump, and it puts you in through perfectly. Normally you mockball. I select power bombs and head back out. So like I was saying, a lot of this stuff isn't actually too hard at this point. It's if you're still learning the route, it's not too bad. Again, I use now another bulb to know you can do a quick drop here. I use this bulb in the background, or this little blue thing. As you fall down through this pit, when this blue thing in the background, when it touches the floor, that's when I do a turnaround. So I run through here. Let me actually do it once more. Shot, morph ball. So I just run off this platform here. I aim down, and then when that blue thing touches the background, I just push left, and it's a very easy visual cue for the quick drop. Turn. I do a soft morph. And then from here, there's a couple of ways to do this. I've seen, I think a lot of people just jump straight up from here. They do something like this. 1, 2, usually I think it's 4 deboosts or something like that to try to get, ideally you want to boost the last one right to here. What I do is I just run straight in to the pit here, and I run right through it and deboost somewhere around here, which puts me right onto this platform. So just take damage, deboost, deboost, deboost again. Oops. The tricky thing about this room is that these frogs can kind of troll your damage. So that's the way I usually do it. You know, it's usually not too hard to deboost off of spikes. All right. So this is one of those things I was talking about. You get a whole segment where you just got to wall jump a lot, which is really nice. It's just a good area to practice your fundamentals. I usually do 11 wall jumps, and on the 11th one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I just ball up. If I'm lucky, I'll actually ball up and get into the hole on the way up. Something like this. Well, I don't usually practice from this spot. Something like that. You want to do a morph out of this, a mock ball out of this little area here. Probably the easiest visual cue is when you pass this brick, the break in the brick right there, you can do a full jump, and it should get you onto that platform. I don't do a full jump normally. I'd actually just time my jump, but it's a really easy way. Should have power bombs coming through this door. So here, again, you can shoot this guy to reduce lag on the way up. Kipp, if you have things to add, like, just jump
Actually,
in at this point.
I did want to ask you something, and I'm kind of reading chat and also looking at you. So you might have said this, I don't know, but when you're coming out of that power bomb room, like where you, like in the Edikun room where you grab the power bombs, did you talk about dropping the power bomb to like clean out I think it's the sound or whatever, to get a different door transition?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Okay, so I'm going to put it on my stream for just a second, and I actually, like sometimes, like first of all, 100% is probably of the major categories the one that I'm the least familiar with the super advanced stuff. But one time Static 9 was explaining to me that after you get this power bomb right here, that if you like, if you mock ball out and you drop a power bomb like right here as you're leaving, then it actually gives you like a quicker exit or something. And I couldn't really exactly remember why it worked that way. But is that something that you do? Or I bet if Overfiend's still here, he could probably explain it.
I don't. I think it has something to do with like it resets the audio or something like that.
Okay, OV just said that it is true. So yeah, and for the record, like when people like Static 9 or Overfiend or other people like tell you something, even if I don't get it, I just accept it and I do it anyway. So yeah, you can select a power bomb here and drop it, and then like you can get like a better door transition or something. So very, very minute, very small, but just something to be aware of. It's pretty much, I mean, I don't like calling things free, but I mean, it's technically free to go for. You have plenty of power bombs.
Yeah, I actually don't do it, and I should incorporate that. That's a good point. It's something that's interesting that I didn't realize until I watched the Hundo race from one of the GDQs that Zost does a different route. He grabs power bombs early, and when he grabs the power bombs, like one of the things it does is it gives him a few situations where the door transitions are faster. Right. And it was something they mentioned in the, I think it was Overfiend and maybe Stray were talking about it. And I didn't even realize that was a thing at the time. So it's amazing the things you can do in this game, right? Like you're just shaving off little things at a time.
Yeah, and I mean, that thing is very, very minute, but at the same time, just something to be aware of. Let's put it this way, if you're a person with a 100% PB of an hour and 30 minutes, you're not going to instantaneously run a way faster time just because you dropped the power bomb there. But it is just a small thing to be aware of, and might can be useful in other areas too.
Yeah, you do have to watch out though. Yeah, Overfiend mentions assuming you can afford the power bomb. I often find that like by the time I get to Gold Chorizo, I'm like at my minimum for power bombs. That's something that I've kind of noticed. Like almost every run, I'm at 2 power bombs leaving GT, and that's pretty much the minimum that you can do a bomb spread on the way through Norfair, but it's obviously slower.
Okay, so to your point real quick, one thing I kind of want to remind everybody is that Strat Chat is intended for a wide Super Metroid audience, like not necessarily just going for super top times, but just trying to learn a little bit, as much as you can and keep shaving time. And so for anybody out there who runs 100% but is not like at its super optimal level yet, if you guys are stopping by the ship after wrecked ship to refill before you do Gauntlet and stuff, then clearly you're going to have plenty of ammo to do all this stuff. But when you're running like True Moss does or whatever, and you're not stopping to get that stuff, you might be kind of low. So just kind of keep that in mind as you continue.
Yeah, definitely. Let's keep going. So you want to jump and lay a power bomb. Pretty much the sooner you lay the power bomb, the better, because the sooner you lay the power bomb, the sooner these bricks are destroyed, the sooner you can get up here. If you can shoot this guy on the way up, it will reduce lag. During the power bomb, I usually angle up and shoot this door. This next room, a lot of people seem to have trouble with the timing. I think the most common thing that people do in this room is they just take damage on the first guy and run through. I think this is kind of the most common. Take damage and then just speed your way through this room. I think I found a pretty easy strat though for this room. So if you come in, assuming you're just using wave beam at this point, if you're right on the edge of this platform and you run into this room with a charge shot held and holding angle down, so you just run in with charge, angle, and just run into the room like that, should be set up fine. In this next room, if you just hold right and run, and you start just spamming fire as fast as you can right here, you usually will hit everything perfectly. Oh, well, now it doesn't work, of course. Oh, I might have not set it up properly. You do have to be like right on the edge. I usually come up with a down grab here. So I'll usually come through doing something like this. Let's see if that worked. So you do have to be right on the edge, but then you can just spam your shots and it'll hit all of them. So it means you're just a little bit faster. You can time your shots to try to hit all of these guys. I know Sweetnum has like a timer for when he does it, but it's a very simple way of doing it. Just spam right as you hit the bottom, kind of right where you do the golden mock ball. if you can start shooting earlier, but if you shoot somewhere on this slant, you can often, similar to arm pumping, you can get knocked off of the platform, because if you move from the running animation where Samus is not shooting to where her cannon is pointing forward, you can sometimes, just like an arm pump, get knocked off. So I just wait until the end of that platform and then just start spamming. And it works essentially every time. Don't fall into that pit, by the way. Don't do that. And then I usually land somewhere around here. Generally, I just do a 2-tap, and I shoot both times to open the door. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, Overfiend said, yeah, it was probably because it was fully charged coming in the first time, and that does delay the frames. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Okay, so coming into this room, you want to have speed booster getting through this if you can. You want to charge a shine spark right here. And I used to just ball all the way down and sort of bounce, not hitting this platform, actually. I would sort of try to get all the way down, sort of like this, bounce, and then lay a power bomb and shine spark up. I now actually bounce off of this platform. I find it way easier to do. So your reference is pretty much this bulb. You can be a little bit to the right of it, not much though. Anywhere to the left is fine. You want to be able to both hit this door, which should be yellow currently, but I guess I already practiced this room. You want to open that door and also destroy those blocks over there. So this is usually where I'm laying my power bomb, right on this. You can lay it a little bit higher, like somewhere up here. It's also fine. Doesn't really matter, actually, anywhere here. So as I'm coming down in ball, I'm already holding angle up. So I'm coming down in ball, holding angle up. I just drop my power bomb here. I try to soft unmorph on the way down. So I just soft unmorph and then just push jump right away. So I do 3 inputs: shot, up, jump, while I'm holding angle. So I just bounce, 1, 2, 3. And that's kind of a nice way of doing it, because if you actually bounce and try to move left and lay a power bomb, often this hopper kind of just jumps into your way. So I find that the most consistent way to get up there. If you mess it up, just wall jump your way up.
Real quick, Moss, as you enter this next section, which I'm really actually personally excited to watch, I'm sure you're about to talk about the Mission Impossible strat or whatever. Could you also, though, like, in addition, show, because, like, for me, I never learned the Mission Impossible, so I just kind of went through the more, like, I guess, natural or easy way. Can you kind of just show what you can do if you miss it, and, like, how to, make the most of your backup in that room?
Yeah, sure. We should do both routes. Overfiend would know better than me what the time loss is for missing Mission Impossible. I'm certain there is a time loss, but I don't know what it is. And I think it's like maybe 2 to 3 seconds. But so Mission Impossible, it's one of my favorite strats. I have a tutorial video on how to get a consistent way through it, but we'll talk about it a little bit here. So I just come all the way to the right. I jump into this room with supers already equipped. So I do an angle shot to hit this first hopper. Thing is, these hoppers take, what is that going to be? Like probably 400. They probably have 400 health. So 1 super shot and 1 regular shot. So I want to hit this guy with a super on the way in. So he only requires 1 more shot on the way out, assuming I make it through the Mission Impossible strat. He only takes 1 shot on the way back out. So I'll hit him. I'll deboost off of these spikes. And I'll just hit this guy with 2 supers. You can switch off of the supers and hit him with a regular shot, but I'm gonna use another super immediately. So I can usually afford an extra super on that dude. Okay, so Mission Impossible is so awesome. Like I love this strat so much. It's like the name is great. The strat is so cool. The intended route, we'll just say right here. The intended route is to come down here, hit that block that then reappears, grab your power bombs. Normally, if I miss Mission Impossible and I'm continuing on, I'll lay a power bomb immediately, shoot this, and work my way through. We'll talk about all the actual specific strats for these rooms, but I'll do an unmorph in the air so that I can slow myself down and actually make it to this platform. I'll shoot this guy, lay a power bomb, and then as I'm coming this way, I'll just set my position up for this shot. We'll talk about this shot as we get through. You're going to go in here, get the super, come back out, head up this way now. This door should be open should be blue if you did the power bomb properly earlier. Kill the guys in here. We can do it really quick, but kill these guys, come through. You have to kill them first on the way in order to open this door. Make sure you shoot the door on the way before you continue on, because otherwise you'll have to kill them again. You get that item, and then usually the way I come back through this room, this is a little different, is I'll come down here, deboost off of this guy, and then lay my power bomb right here, grab this item, and move on. So it's a slightly different order for the items. The Spore Spawn Super is done before the E-Tank, but the strats themselves are going to be a little bit, are going to be the same for the most part. It's just the order is a little bit different. So let's talk, assuming that we're doing Mission Impossible, because I found a wonderful free way to do Mission Impossible. I don't use it anymore because it's a little bit slower. It's about a second slower. This is what Mission Impossible normally looks like. Oh, and you have to push jump at the last, like right as you jump back up in order to get back in through that brick. So the only thing that's hard if you get this strat that I'm going to use is the final jump out. So I figured out a strat that's basically free. Like you can do this blindfolded if you use an audio cue. When I figured this out, I was like so proud of myself because it's pretty cool. So I use the music for the Brinstar theme. I use the rhythm of that to kind of inform me when to press inputs. So the beat of this, it's about that speed. Now I know you guys can't hear my audio currently, but that's about the speed of the Brinstar music. And so what I do, I have 4 beats. And I do 4 inputs, 1 on each beat. So the first one is I hold jump. So jump is on the first beat. You can pick any beat. You just have to, wait for 1 beat to come around. Press jump on beat 1. I push down on beat 2. I push fire on beat 3. And then I push left on beat 4. So you have to be set up in a position where you're facing to the right. You got supers on. And then you just do a full jump and then hit these inputs on these beats. So it'll be sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's completely free. Like I can do it. Let's see if I can do it blindfolded. Turn around. Oh, I didn't turn on power bombs or supers. Yep. So you can do it blindfolded. It's really easy to do. And it's faster. It'll take about a second to do that, to set it up and jump higher. But it's pretty cool. So if you don't do this strat, this is a really easy setup for it. Okay, so once you get down, once you make the drop properly, oops, not like that. All you have to do now is buffer right and jump. Hold right and jump, and you're going to jump up perfectly. And then once you are up at the top, you just have to learn. The hardest part of this strat is just learning the jump out again. So the timing for that it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but we're back out. On the way out, I switch off my just to regular shot, and I shoot once to kill the hopper, and then I shoot once more in the air to hit the door. 1, 2, and then I deboost on my way back out. That's a small thing, but it's a nice way to do it. Is there anything you want to? Is there anything you want to add to that, Kipp? It's
considering I've never run the strat, no, I have nothing to add.
Okay. So there you go, everybody. It's a free Mission Impossible. So I usually select missiles coming down through here just to try to hit these 2 guys. It's not guaranteed you're going to hit them because they kind of. Oops, I should save on the next room. So I don't even use that strat anymore because it's a little slower. I've just learned to use an audio, like kind of a visual cue. When the screen starts to scroll up, I just do the turnaround now. So I switch to missiles to try to hit these guys. If they're not in the way, it's not a big deal. And then I just try to do a turnaround to get through this block. And I usually just shoot that guy with a single shot. There's some pretty amazing short charge stuff you can do here. The easiest way to get through this is just run in, switch to missiles, maybe shoot a couple, and then maybe shoot a super to try to kill that big guy quicker. That's kind of the basic way to do it. But if you can do a pretty good stutter 3 tap, you can do a really nice blue suit strat. I shoot on all 3 taps because you want to firstly kill this guy, secondly open this door. So I fire on all 3 taps. I go stud or shoot, 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 and I jump through the door on blue suit. There's a couple of ways you can do this room. It's kind of, it's very swag. What I usually do is I just jump through the room, angle up, and shoot the one hopper I don't get with the blue suit. So I'm just going to angle up and hit this guy with a missile. And I just turn around immediately with the missile and shoot the door and then head over this way. There's a really cool one that you can do with a kind of a speed keep. I don't use it because I find it kind of inconsistent, but the same idea, except you come in with in a ball form. And the cool thing about this is if you lay a power bomb or a bomb right at the door, you can actually kill these guys with a speed keep and open the door. Oh, it almost worked. So you want to, you kind of take damage, unmorph, and keep your blue suit. Like I said, I don't really use... There it is.
Man, that's swag, dude. I've never seen that before.
It's really, really swag. And the cool thing is it already opens that door. So if it works, you don't even have to turn around. I do love the strat, but you have to time both the power bomb or the regular bomb right at the door, and you have to get the speed keep properly. See, even if I put the bomb maybe here and it didn't work, so you have to time the bomb as well. I don't go for that. I just find it too inconsistent. I usually switch to power bombs at this point. Getting up here is it's actually, I find this more finicky than I feel I should. I find this one really, really finicky. There's a really funny thing in Zos does a hundo run from AGDQ 2013 maybe, or maybe SGDQ, and he misses this shot 3 times, and each time it looks like it should have hit. So he keeps going up and he's like, why didn't that work? And it was just kind of funny to see that I'm not the only one that sometimes struggles with this. One thing to watch out for with this, if you're going to do this strat where you shoot and then ball up, is you want to make sure you release shot after you hit the gate. Because if you're still holding... That's right, Overfiend. Yeah, Sinister had a great reaction to it. Yeah. If you're still holding shot, you can't ball up. So you have to be careful that you release shot before you do your first input down to aim down. Because you won't... You notice how I'm not staying and aim down like I would if I'm not holding fire. So make sure you release the shot button. Don't hold it. You have to do a quick tap, essentially. And then ball up. So, I mean, the interesting thing is, aside from the short charge, there's not many things that the average runner who's learning this this category can't do pretty much right away. I mean, you might not get all of them, but there's nothing really difficult.
Hey, real quick.
Oh yeah, coming.
Did you, or are you going to? Did you talk about if you don't get Mission Impossible, how to do the super missile thing into the depending on where you come out. If you come out of the room you're in now and then you go down to get the Spore Spawn supers, you kind of have to set it up a little bit different. Did you talk about the other one yet?
Yes. Well, yeah, I was going to just talk about that strat. I'll use this route as an example, and we'll get to that and talk about that room in detail, because that's a very weird room.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we're almost there. Okay, so coming out of that room, I usually just angle down, run off this platform, and I use this brick as my reference. As I'm passing this brick with my my torso, I just shoot angle down, and you'll hit the door. And then I just turn around and hope to deboost off of one of these hoppers. So I'll just shoot and then do that. I guess it was a little different because I usually actually am waiting for this gate. So it'll look something like this. Oop. Shot, and then deboost. Usually I'm coming out of this room with power bombs. And I lay a power bomb on the way down. You have to lay a power bomb in order to open up this way here. So whenever you're ending up doing this shot, if you're coming from this side to do this shot, I usually just jump and lay a power bomb somewhere around here on the way heading right. In this situation, I'm coming from this side, so I just lay one on the way down. This hopper, it's not a hopper, whatever this is. I find that enemy like oddly hard to hit. I find like every time I come through here, I end up having trouble shooting this. I've noticed that angling up seems to work better. I just sort of run through and try to hit it with an angle up shot. Anyway, this shot, this is a weird and finicky room. To get this shot, you're not supposed to do this shot. So we can show it. There's a block in here that it's a super block. You're supposed to be able to come out this way. Like you're not supposed. This is a spore spawn super. First super you're supposed to get in the game, and you're supposed to come out of this room after having gotten the super missile. You're not supposed to be able to go in though. So this room is very finicky. I think one of the ways that I try to explain it is you want to look at your position compared to where the right border is. So this wall I kind of think of as like a border of the room. In order to set this shot up, you have to kind of you have to get to either this position or this position, depending on where you want to do it from. I found those two positions. We'll talk about them in detail in a minute, but there's sort of two positions. But the problem is, if you're coming from this side, do you notice that when I head to the left, as I edge over, you notice how the border is starting to trail away from me? So we can't have that. And if you just come if you come just this far to the left and then head back to the right, the border won't have scrolled over enough probably for this shot to work at this point. See, it didn't actually work because you notice I edged a little bit further and the wall still had more to move. So you have to come far enough. I usually just use this as a reference. You could maybe even come, you don't have to come as far away, but I use this as a reference from this side to, I come this far, and then I come back to this point and do the shot from there. So my reference for this position is I use this this plant with the longer stem. When it's sort of touching Samus's back, like it's right up, lined up with her back, that's the position. You'd also look at the feet, I guess, and you notice that both feet, each foot is standing on a different plant. There's sort of a taller and a shorter one, and each foot's standing there. That's kind of a good reference. There's a little bit of wiggle room for this one, though. I don't know how much, maybe a couple of frames, but this is the position I usually use. There is another position that you can use instead. It requires you to come farther to the left, though, usually somewhere around here. So what I use as this reference is when I'm angled, I look at my right heel, and my right heel is just touching this small orb. It's just touching it, so right there. That's kind of the position. I'll probably have to reset it, though. Somewhere around there. That's right. So there's two positions that you can use, whichever you feel is easier for you to land. This one is faster from this side. If you're coming down this way, this one is going to be faster. If you're coming from this side, though, you could probably set up. Well, let's actually see. So I'll just assume I came from this side. So you would unmorph. You would sort of jump and lay a power bomb. That probably is far enough. Yeah. And then you just edge your way over to this position and shoot it. And that's the shot right there. Kind of finicky at first to get used to the position. You have to find your own, you might have to find a different way of understanding that position. But just take a few seconds. I'm just going to stay on this position for a second. And if you can find other references, that's great too. Maybe Samus's foot in the background is being cut in half by this sort of thicker branch. Something like that might work. Or this one over here, like I said, either both feet on these plants, or Samus's back is touching it, and then that shot should work. It's a very finicky room, and once you learn it, it's really easy. But it is if it's very easy to miss a bunch of shots. If you get in trouble and you notice that it's not working, you just head back, reset it, and come back to the same position and make the shot. I probably recommend you learn this one, because if you mess this one up, you have to come a lot further back. You're just wasting more time, essentially. So I like this one a little bit better. I used to use this one, though. This is my old one. And in recent days, I've switched to this one. All right. I used to just deboost through this room. I used to just do this. Or that's wrong. That's the old way, or the new way I'm doing it. I would just run and deboost off one of these guys to around here and just start shooting to open the door. That works fine. It's a little bit faster to do a slightly different strat, though. So what I do now is I actually, I door check. So I jump through and turn around to grab that door. And then I just land here, turn around, jump as late as possible. And you'll usually take damage off of this enemy, but you'll hit him on the backside. So it'll actually push you forward and push you right onto the ground here. And as soon as you hit the ground, I just start shooting, and it should open the door. So I'll just, from here, do a good jump and then just shoot. And usually you'll open the door. If you don't want to do that, you can do this or, something like that. Or just jump over all of them. That also works fine. You can do something like this. It's not as fast, though. Grab this item. So opening this door, what I usually do is when I hop up onto this platform, just as I'm about to land, I shoot my my wave beam. And that, if you're running, should open the door and you'll run right through. And after I've shot it, I'll switch to supers. You want to have a lot of run speed going through this room. There's a really cool mock ball that you can try to land here. What I use as reference is I jump right here. It's a very big visual cue. So I jump right here. You don't want to jump earlier because you'll hit this ceiling. So right around here, maybe even here, it'll be fine. I do a full jump. So I don't release jump for the whole room. And then I shoot. I use this as a reference. So when my body passes that, I press fire, and it should hit the top of the door. And then I just try to morph through. If you hit the door on the morph, it doesn't really slow you down much, though, because you have to lay a bomb immediately in the next room and wait. So it's not really a big deal if you don't time it properly, but that's the shot I do right there.
Yeah, Moss, if you don't mind, I want to drive for just a second because I want to show a couple things about this, and I want to kind of make a larger point about Super Metroid in general. Something that I learned the hard way that hopefully will help some newer players. So real quick, first of all, I'm starting out from the position of not getting Mission Impossible, right? So I'm coming through this from the perspective of coming out of this room, and I'm gonna collect the super missiles down here first before I come up here. So imagine that you either miss Mission Impossible or you don't go for it. Basically, when you come down here, kind of like Moss said, you can drop a power bomb and notice that it's going to clear those blocks out. And basically what I try to do visually is this little second kind of lollipop dandelion thing right here, the one that's shorter. Usually if I put my gun or my cannon or whatever about halfway through it, then I usually, as you can see, it shook and you probably heard the sound. That'll get you the shot. You want to be careful though, because as soon as you go past this, you might not get it, and then if you return, it's not going to be, as he pointed out, the same sort of visual, the camera's not going to scroll correctly. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the main thing that I want to talk about here for just a second is a little bit less about Hundo specifically and a little bit more about Super Metroid in general, okay? One thing you kind of have to realize about this game is sometimes strats that you would think are faster, just because they might look faster or because you think you're utilizing an advanced technique, that doesn't mean they always are. And I kind of learned this basically on the ocean section of GT Classic, and I want to show you a strat that I used to use here in RBO back before I realized that was actually way slower than what I could have done, but I thought it was faster. So the first thing I want to show you though is right here when you come in this room, one thing you can do is try to door check to get as close back to the wall as possible. But notice that one thing I learned from Static 9 is, if you door check this, like I got the door check there, right? I got through it sooner, and now I'm flush up against this door, which allows me to hopefully potentially, make this jump and get past these little bugs or whatever. Sometimes I don't. But he actually mentioned the fact that you should try to jump as low as possible during your door check, because if you jump up high, you just have to have even a few frames where you fall down. So the shorter you jump, the better. And then I don't really have anything new to show you. What I'm going to kind of point out in this next room is something that, like, a lot of times people think shine sparking is really fast, and it can be the fastest strat in some rooms, but what you also have to realize when you're new is that anytime you shine spark, whenever you get to the end of your spark, you have to go through a crash animation. And that crash animation can last, I really don't know exactly what the exact time it is, but it's over a second. So somewhere probably between a second and 2 seconds. So do you know what it is particularly, Moss?
Not off the top of my head.
So real quick, this...
70 frames. 70
okay, cool.
frames.
So it's over a second, right? So a second and 10 frames.
Yeah.
So when I first was learning RBO, you have to run into this room just like you do in Hundo, and I hadn't watched any videos, and I basically came up with a strat that I invented myself. I say invented, I'm sure other people had done it, I just had never seen anybody, and I basically did an ocean fly in this room. And it's probably going to take me a minute to get it, but basically I would get the shine spark, and then I would try to select missiles, and then jump and fire and go at the right time, and if you miss it like I just did, then you bonk right there. But I kind of want to show what it looks like if you eventually get it. All right.
That's cool. I noticed that.
So I got it, right? So, and now I'm gonna go through this room as fast as possible. So as soon as I broke the animation for shine sparking, I exited the door, and it was 2 seconds and 39 frames, right? So it looks pretty swag. I mean, it definitely looks cool. But the problem is that if you just ran in here and grabbed this item and then immediately left and did something like, I'm not even going to do an advanced strat, I'm just going to jump and shoot the super missile. 1 second, 56 frames. Like already, 2/3 of a second faster. So I know that there's not many people that run that strat there, if any, but I kind of just want to use it as a point to say that anywhere in the game that you're trying to utilize a spark, like for example GT Classic in the ocean, on the way out of the ocean, for example, after Fantoon, some people will shine spark across. It's actually faster to get your full run speed and try to space jump across, because you don't have to deal with that crash animation. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Well, also when you're charging your shine spark, you have to crouch, and that resets your speed as well. So it also you lose time partly because of that as well. Yeah, there's another strat coming up that's sort of similar to that, actually.
Cool. So yeah, I'm going to toss it back over.
Talk about that.
You take it away.
Right. So like I said, try for this mock ball. If you don't get it, it's not a big deal. It doesn't, the other option is to just do a full jump, shoot, and then run through the door. That also works fine. It's a little bit slower, but not too bad. Yeah, it's like 10 frames slower. The mock ball is nice because then you can lay the power bomb immediately. So you want to lay a power bomb, immediately jump over to supers, and then switch back to power bombs. I angle up to try to hit this guy. Like I said, it's kind of tricky to hit him. And then you're going to need to get over here and drop a power bomb. Unfortunately, it doesn't work up here. I was kind of testing it to see if there is a spot where it'll actually work up here, and I don't think there is a spot. You need to be below this, the top of that ledge. I kind of just do it somewhere around here. That's somewhere where I'm doing it. So you can lay it in a number of ways. You can either run through this just mock ball and then drop it on the way down, or you can try to do something, something like that to try to drop it. I'm pretty sure if you just jump and then just release forward, and don't even try to do like an air ball. See, I just stop dead in the air and just press down twice. You can kind of do that, and that'll work fine as well. All these are fine strategies. I don't know if they won't be saving much time with one over the other. So anyway, you're going to lay a power bomb, You shouldn't have grabbed this on the way. I mean, it doesn't really, it's not a huge time saver, but you probably won't have grabbed this on the way down the first time through Brinstar. So you grab this now while the power bomb is cooking. And then I just do a little mock ball into this hole. There's, I lay my power bomb somewhere around here. That'll work fine to open this little hole here. And I just stand right here and I try to do a little mock ball. It's a little bit faster if you can do like a little mock ball through there. Not a big deal though. If you don't want to do it, just ball up. And in fact, you might be even a little bit like, you're going to reduce some lag if you're in ball. So if you're not going to mock ball, stay in ball the whole way down and just wait here and then roll your way through. I switched to, in this tube, I switched to supers, but you can do it on the fall here. I jump off because it's usually faster than just dropping. And run through. You only have to shoot one guy here, this one right here, that I missed. I usually start shooting right around when my feet hit the water. I start shooting somewhere around there. Usually it works fine. And then my visual cue for jumping is right as Samus passes this last brick, I jump a little jump, just a very small jump right there. Maybe a little bigger than that to hit that energy tank. All right, this is actually another thing that I'm pretty sure, I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that most people, it's the easier strat for this room is to just do a shine spark, like charge up, running through this room, open the door, and shine spark up like this. And it looks really fast, but again, this crash animation takes some time. Most top runners don't shine spark. I think it's faster to just ledge grab your way up. Partly it's because in this room, you have to stop for a second to charge your shine spark, so you lose run speed. So that first room is slower, and I think it's basically the same speed to get up here like that. But it's a lot more input heavy. So there's a couple of visual cues you can use. If I'm doing the shine spark strat, I shine spark on this. I charge here on this foreground. So you kind of count these. There's 1, 2. There should be 1 here, but there isn't. Like in terms of just a rhythm, there's sort of 2 and then a space and then a third one here. So I charge it right here. And then after I've charged it, I shoot right away and I just jump through the door. The timing should work that you'll open the door in time. So we'll try that in real time. 1, 2, that one, shoot, jump through the door. And then you don't want to shine spark immediately. You got to wait a few frames. You get to move into the room a few frames before you shine spark because you can hit here. So, just wait a few frames and then jump an angle and it'll take you up there. Though I'm pretty sure that this is actually faster. So the faster way, I shoot right here. So I use this one as a reference. And then I just jump right here. At the same spot where I charge the shine spark, I jump right there. And if I jump in the right height, I'll jump through the door as it's opening, effectively. Let's try that. Close enough. And then I'll just wall jump my way up. Or wall jump, ledge grab my way up. These 3 little orbs is my cue for dropping the power bomb. You might be able to get away with it right here, but let's try. I wouldn't detonate it any further than this, though. Oops. I don't know if that'll even work. No, it will not. Yeah. So no sooner than these. I drop right in the middle of these, and it works fine. And then I usually just do a little run speed to ball up. I want to try to get up here. It's not a big deal, but that's where I usually aim to get when I'm balling up on the way up. Drop a power bomb and roll through. There is a weird clipping strat. I've only gotten it to work once, so I don't really know how it works exactly. And it's hard to do because you're invisible, but it's something Behemoth does. And he jumps on top of these crumble blocks and then literally jumps up through this platform here. It's very, very hard. I've only done it once in practice, and I don't really understand what I did right. So I've just not tried it anymore. So if you, it works the same as ice clips. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. I imagine it's kind of similar to also like the red ship clip, but it's much harder because you can't see Samus exactly. So get up here however you want. Let's clear that. That would normally be blue at this point because you opened it on the way in the first time. I usually just shoot somewhere around here to hit the door. And I try to get a lot of running speed going through this door. And I jump and try to bonk the ceiling for this next room. So sort of like that. This is kind of an interesting... This power bomb is interesting because it opens this door for later. It definitely saves time. I don't know if anyone's checked this, but like if the power bomb does not even come close to this door, it's kind of amazing how far away. Like I'm gonna lay it just left of these plants. I'm gonna follow it up and just look at how far away the bomb is from the door. It's pretty. Oops, let's do that once more. Pretty funny how it's like nowhere close to the door here. Like it's not even close. I don't know how that one works, but it's pretty funny that actually works. I don't really understand why, but it does. So anyways, you lay a bomb somewhere when you mock ball. I don't know how far down you can do it. Maybe let's try that. I don't know if that'll work. No. So you got to do higher than that plant. That's probably fine. Nope. So I would try to use, like, you don't want to lay much lower than this platform. So pretty much as soon as you mock ball, if you mock ball, you lay a power bomb pretty much right away. I like to bounce here once and then stop right here, unmorph and shoot down to clear this guy out of the way. Well, I should have laid a power bomb, but I didn't. And then I just do a full jump mock ball from that position. I just hold jump the whole way through, and you get right in there. The other option is if you want, you can, maybe the easier way. I think actually that's probably easiest, but you can wall jump up or whatever you want to do to grab those missiles. But this is really, really easy, really. Just jump at the end of the platform. And even if you mess up the mock ball, you'll still get in here in ball form. Okay, this next part's I find kind of finicky. What I used to do is I used to try to deboost off of these guys, at least one of them, and try to get up here. If you deboost off the second guy, you can sometimes, let's say right here. If you deboost off the second guy, you can sometimes end up actually land here on this platform. I find it kind of tricky though, because it's dependent on the movement of the hopper, and they have a number of different patterns. So what I've sort of started doing, this is a behemoth strat. I shoot this one with an angle up shot, and then I run off this ledge and turn around, and I shoot just as my feet are like kind of in line with this top of this plant. I shoot somewhere around there, and then I start running right away as I hit the ground. And it kind of covers both situations with this hopper. If the hopper jumps low, it'll hit the hopper. And if the hopper jumps high, you can run straight under him. So we'll try that a few times. So shoot this guy, turn around, shot, and run. And you can run under a high hop. Or let's see if we get a low hop. No. Okay. So anyways, you want to try to get a good amount of run speed through this. If you shoot while running right around here, you should hit the door on your way down, and you can land right here on this platform. The door is already coming up, and you can kind of move through here pretty quickly. So something like this. Oops. Let's do that once more. And then I usually hit this guy with a missile and then charge a shot or shoot at the door. Hopefully these hoppers won't get in the way of your shot. Shoot the door, charge, and jump through. Blockbuster. Blockbuster's great. I love this strat. It's one of my favorites. This is Blockbuster, right? That's a name for it, I think. So there's a couple of visual cues you can do with this one. I hold charge, shot, and run all the way to here. Once I'm passing the end of these crumble blocks, I release run So you have the right amount of speed that way getting through this room. You can also use these plants as a reference, like just as you're about to pass these plants, you release run. So I'm holding all of those inputs. Oops. Holding run, angle, and shoot. And then I release shoot right there. Sorry, release run, pardon me. I released run right there. Then somewhere around this plant, I'm going to shoot. And after I shoot, I jump, full jump. And, let's clear that first. That would normally be a blue door. And if you're lucky, you can mock ball perfectly in speed ball to get through here. Let's reset that door. So those are the visual cues I use for this room at this point. But knowing me, there's also an audio cue. So this is what it should look like. Oops, not like that. So that's what that looks like. And it's really fast because then you kill these blocks right away and you don't have to bomb them or roll through. So it's a very cool strat. There is an audio cue that I use. I've got the wrong music on right now. Just so I can hear this thing. I'm just going to reload some different music and load back to that spot. So again, I'm using the Brinstar theme. The speed of the Brinstar theme is really bump, 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 bump. It's a really good tempo to learn things. So I just start counting the beats as I go. I press forward. I press right, I guess, on beat 1, and I start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On beat 5, I release run. On beat 6, you shoot and jump. So I'll try that and see if that works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost. You might have to, it's not going to be a guarantee. You still have to do it a little bit by feel. But if you're having trouble figuring out the timing for that, it's kind of a cool way of doing it. You might not even use the actual musical cues in a sense. Like, you can use it in a sense, like knowing like when you're probably going to start shooting. Like, so on beat 5 to be aware of where that like visual cue is coming, just sort of helps you to sort of figure out how long that distance of a run is going to be. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and we go through. And that's the end of Brinstar, basically. We're into point. What do you want to do, Kipp? What else is you've wanted to talk about?
Actually, I think this is a perfect place to stop. We're literally at the 2-hour mark, and we're pretty much Brinstar cleanup ends exactly right here. Blockbuster is kind of like the last difficult strat. So the only other thing I want to mention tonight that I forgot to do when Overfiend was on here is I want to give a shout out to Sloters and Fruit Bat Salad. Those two guys are like, two good friends of mine. Super proud of them. They both made the final of the Super Metroid multi-category tournament. Their final matchup is going to be this Saturday, so 2 days from now, and it will start at 3 o'clock Eastern time. But the thing that I'm, even more excited about is that I get to be on commentary for it. So Overfiend VIP and I will be the two commentators for that final match. So make sure to come by and check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited to see what category they get and then to watch them perform one last time. So everybody, thank you so much for coming tonight. Huge shout outs to zmusic for making time for us and Overfiend VIP.
Yeah, we take like a few seconds in case there's maybe one or two questions.
Yeah, sure. We can answer a question just in case.
We'll just wait.
But otherwise, thank you so much to our guests for coming in tonight. We've had a nice long 2-hour Strat Chat here. And thank you for doing most of the driving on the Hundo stuff, Moss, because obviously you're really good at it and in the rhythm of it right now. So real quick, I can't remember, what was your goal for Hundo before you decided you wanted to move on?
My current goal.
Yeah, like where do you want to get to before you decided to do something else?
At this point, I think I'm aiming. My goal right now is a 118. My sum of best is in the 117.30. I haven't put a lot of time into this. I'm in the new route now. Like, I changed routes to late Crockmire. The cool thing about Hundo is that like late Crockmire versus early Crockmire, there's not that much that's different. There's a couple of specific strats you have to learn because you don't have grapple, but it's really not that different.
Gotcha.
And there's a couple of really cool strats that you can learn. Like there's that really cool work robot skip, which I really love. It's been interesting because I did hundo before using X factors on Fantoon, and now I Doppler everything. So it's been interesting, coming back to hundo now that I'm doing Dopplers, because like I said, I haven't died in hundo yet, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that like if you're X factoring Fantoon, you're gonna be taking a lot more damage. So it's very cool. Like I'm often like I'm doing Alpha Spark and then doing Ocean Fly, and I'm getting to the wreck ship with like 30 health.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't died yet. Sometimes I'll be with that 30 health if I'm low, but I haven't died yet from it, knock on wood. So it's an interesting category, especially now that I'm switching to I'm using Dopplers on Fantoon. I love it. I'm really into it at this point, and 118 is the goal, but once I hit that, I think I might just want to keep pushing.
Gotcha. Well, all right, guys, we're going to shut it down there. Thank you so much again for checking out Strat Chat episode number 10. If for any reason that you want to check out any of the previous Strat Chats and hear some of the guest interviews or anything that we cover, I typically highlight them shortly after each episode, so you can go through my highlighted videos and probably find them. So Moss, I'm going to go to our exit screen. Thank you again, man. Appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll talk soon to get ready for the next one.
Thanks, and thanks again to zmusic and Overfiend. Thanks so much, guys.
Absolutely. So, guys, I'm going to cut stream there, and that's going to be it for me for the evening, but I should probably be on tomorrow night doing a few runs of low ice and whatnot, and then I'm excited for Saturday to do the commentary for the final match of the multi-category tournament. So, good night, everybody, and we'll see you later.